Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, link down in the description, and join the Discord, linked down in the description. But today's video is the video that most of you guys have been waiting for. It is my 2020 election prediction for May of 2020. My last election prediction, as you can see here on the screen, was from April of 2020. It is now May 1st of 2020, and I'm doing my election prediction for the month of May, how I think these states are going to go. Obviously, I do my election prediction and the battleground map. The battleground map is more of the state of the race, where if the election were held today, how would these races go? This is a prediction for how is it going to go in November? How are these, say the sexual assault allegations going to hurt Joe Biden? How are the debates going to hurt Joe Biden? How will all of these other factors? I'm predicting how those factors are going to help, what factors may come up, and I'm just going to be predicting the election based off of what I think it's going to be in November, not what I think it is going to be now. That video will be coming out in a couple days. So let's get right to the video. The safe states for Donald Trump here, if we just put in Donald Trump's name here, the safe states for Donald Trump are going to be the states of Montana, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, all of Nebraska except for the 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Alaska, as well as Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and South Carolina. That is 125 safe electoral votes for Donald Trump, and then for Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee, the presumptive Democratic nominee. These safe states are going to be California, as always, Oregon, Washington, even Oregon, although some people are saying that it could be a surprise of the night by going less blue than some people may have expected. It went by around 12 wins in 2016. I still think that it'll be a safe state, probably by around 12 to 13, actually, because he is more popular than Hillary Clinton. As well as Hawaii will be safe, Illinois will be safe, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and DC. So that puts, as well as actually Maine's 1st District, will also be a safe state. So that puts Joe Biden at 183 safe electoral votes and Donald Trump at 125 safe electoral votes. Now we will be doing the likely, lean, and tilt states. First, we'll start off in the Northeast here. I think Maine at large will be a likely margin for, actually a lean margin for Joe Biden, and then Maine's 2nd District will be a likely margin for Donald Trump. Maine's 2nd District was one of the surprises of the night, actually going for Donald Trump. It went by around 10 points to him. I think that'll be less this time, maybe by around 6 to 7, and with Maine's 1st District going by a safe margin, I think that that'll either balance it out to go by a lean or maybe even a likely margin, probably by around 4 to 5, maybe even up to 6 points, which would make it a likely margin. Again, tilt is 0 to 2 percentage points, lean is 2 to 5 percentage points, likely is 5 to 10, and safe is above 10 percentage points. So that is going to be lean, and Maine's 2nd District is going to be likely. The next state is New Hampshire here. New Hampshire, I believe, is going to be a lean margin as well. Hillary Clinton really did not do well here in the Democratic primary in 2016, and neither did Joe Biden, to be honest. But Hillary Clinton, as unpopular as she was, and with the number of rallies that Donald Trump won here. Donald Trump won New Hampshire in the primary here. He had a lot of big rallies here in stadiums, and he still lost the state, and he's had some rallies before New Hampshire for 2020, but I do believe that Joe Biden is going to win by a larger margin. New Hampshire will kind of revert to the way that it was in maybe 2012, maybe even up to what it was in 2008. Probably not that much, but I think it'll be similar to the margin in 2012. Down here in Virginia, I believe Virginia will be a likely margin here. Virginia loves establishment Democrats, moderate Democrats like Joe Biden, and I think that the way that it has trended, the suburban areas, the Fairfax counties have made it such a blue area that I believe that it'll just be a heavily Democratic state ever since. It was one of the surprises of the night that it went to Barack Obama in 2008 after not going to the Democrats for a very long time. And, that's going to be something that's bad for the Republicans if the same thing happens across the country. But I think that just for Virginia, we'll put that at a likely margin. Next, going down here to North Carolina. I think North Carolina will be a tilt margin here. North Carolina is a state that went to Obama in 2008. Romney flipped it in 2012 along with Indiana. And it's a state that's been trending blue, whether you like it or not. It's been trending blue. There are suburbs, Winston-Salem suburbs, Raleigh suburbs, that have been trending to the Democratic column. You also see an increase in the black vote that is having more of an influence in helping the Democrats overall. And Joe Biden is very good at turning out the black vote. And maybe if he picks someone like Stacey Abrams from Georgia or Val Demings from Florida, or even Kamala Harris from California, that could help in a state like North Carolina. But I still think that it is going to be a tilt margin for Joe Biden. That's what I'm predicting as of now. Georgia is going to be a lean margin I'm predicting here. I do think that it is a state that is, again, trending to the blue column. The Atlanta suburbs are something that's not to be underestimated. It's an area that's trended heavily blue ever since. You look at the wave years, 2010, the Georgia governor race went to the Republican by less than it did in 2006, despite 2010 being a red wave year and 2006 being a blue wave year. Same thing in 2014, another wave year went by less than it did in 2010, and then obviously 2018 with Stacey Abrams, it was less than 2014. I think that trend will continue, not just at the state level, but at the presidential level as well. And I think that Georgia will go by a lean margin, not in the blue column yet by any means, but in the future it probably will be. Going down here to the state of Florida, I believe that Florida will again be a tilt margin. This is going to be very close either way. Joe Biden is actually the candidate, one of the few candidates that can do very well in the state of Florida compared to Bernie Sanders. I don't think he would have done as well. Him and Michael Bloomberg, Joe Biden and Michael Bloomberg were really the only candidates that I could have seen winning Florida. And Joe Biden obviously is the presumptive nominee. He is going to be the candidate, and I believe that Donald Trump will narrowly win Florida, but it will be very close as it has for as long as most people can remember in terms of elections. And so I think that that'll still be by tilt margin Donald Trump, but it will be very close. It will be down to the wire, similar to how it was in 2016, but probably even closer. Next is going down here to Texas. I believe Texas will be by a likely margin. I used to say that this is going to go around 7 points, but I think that this time it might go by around 5 to 6. We've had some polls that have actually shown Joe Biden leading, these same polls that got it right in 2018 for the Senate race. And so I think that you're going to have to watch out for that, because Texas is another state that's been trending towards the blue column, not just the Latino vote that's having more prevalence overall, but also the suburban vote in Houston, in Dallas, in Austin, in these areas that are becoming heavily Democratic, and that's going to outnumber all of the rural areas that you see eventually. But for now, it is still a state that's in the red column. It'll be in the red column for a couple more elections, maybe. And I think that it is going to be a likely margin for this election. For Colorado, it's going to be a likely margin, along with New Mexico. I think that these states are very similar. They both have heavy Latino populations. They've both been trending towards the blue column. I'm contemplating putting New Mexico safe, because you see Hillary Clinton won by 8% with Gary Johnson getting 9% of the vote. Had Gary Johnson not get 9% of the vote, you only have to give 2% of his vote to Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton wins by a safe margin. Actually, there's many other ways you can think about it, but I do think that Hillary Clinton could have won it by a safe margin if Gary Johnson had not been running. But that's a whole other debate we can talk about. But in terms of this, where you don't have Gary Johnson, it's either going to be Justin Amash or Dan Hornberger running. It's not going to have enough as much of an influence in terms of the third-party vote in New Mexico, along with the competitive congressional district elections that are going to make it higher turnout as well. And so I think that both these states have been trending towards the blue column, like many states. I keep mentioning it, but we'll talk about some states that are trending right up here. But I do think that these states are trending blue, and it's going to be pretty comfortable margins for them. You also have the Senate race in Colorado that's going to make it competitive as well. But for now, I'm predicting that it's going to be a likely margin. The next one is going to be Arizona. I am predicting that Arizona actually is going to go to Joe Biden. Arizona should be a very worrying state for the GOP. It's a state that they only won by 3.5 percentage points in 2016, after Romney won it by around 9 percentage points in 2012 or something around that. And then the Democrats will go on and win with Kyrsten Sinema in 2018. And now you see that Joe Biden's up more in the polls in Arizona, which actually underperformed Hillary. Joe Biden's up more in the polls in Arizona than he is in some of the Rust Belt states like Wisconsin. And, that's really, really good for him, but it's also showing of the demographic changes, of the suburban trends. You see Maricopa County will probably go blue this time. And that's something that, again, you'll have to watch out for that. And I think that Arizona is going to be a tilt blue state, a very close state, but I think that the trends and the changes are just so insurmountable for Donald Trump at this point that the trend will go into the blue column. But not to say that he can't win. He can easily win. This is probably the most fragile Democratic state that I'm going to be predicting of today. And I think that there will be a tilt margin for Joe Biden. The next state is going to be Nevada here. We're just going through the Sun Belt here. Nevada, I believe, is going to be a lean margin here. Nevada is a state that has a heavy Latino population. It's a very liberal population, which is why I'm not making it trend blue more than it did in 2016 when Hillary went up by around 2.5 percentage points, because Bernie did blow Biden out of the water here, but I believe that Joe Biden will be able to consolidate some of the Latino vote. There is a good chance that he might pick Catherine Cortez Masto, the senator from Nevada, which obviously probably make this a likely, if not safe, state here. And so I think that this state is going to be a lean margin for Joe Biden. I think he'll be able to get enough of the Latino vote, enough of the liberal vote that'll push him over the top here. Next is going to be Nebraska's second district. I think Nebraska's second district is going to be a tilt margin. The suburban trends here, it's another state where it's been trending blue. It almost went blue in 2018 if the Democrats didn't run a Bernie bro, who's now running again. Democrats probably would have won the seat. And again, I believe that seat, state district, will go by a tilt margin. The next two states, Iowa and Ohio, I believe will both be by likely margins. I think that it's hard to tell which one of these will be closer, but it's shown that at this point in the race, Joe Biden's doing very well. He could become competitive in these states, and while I don't think that is going to be necessarily the best idea for Joe Biden to put too much money into these states, it is going to be by likely margin, I think. I think Donald Trump will secure a pretty comfortable lead, probably Iowa by 7 points, Ohio by 6 points maybe. It's kind of hard to tell at this point, but I think that it has been trending to the red column. You see a lot of the rural areas, a lot of the even suburban areas here have trended to the red column, but more so to the blue column. And I think both these states will be by a likely margin. Then we get to these four states here. First, Minnesota. I believe Minnesota will be a lean margin. The state, kind of the one that got away for Donald Trump in 2016. It's a state that he almost won, but Hillary Clinton did still win. And I believe that if Hillary Clinton won, there's really not much of a chance that Donald Trump's going to win in 2020, given that he's down heavily in the polls. He's not very popular in this state, and I just don't believe that he's going to be able to win it, given the candidate in Joe Biden, who is a pretty good candidate, especially compared to Hillary Clinton. And then down to these three states here that are going to decide the election. We see as of now Donald Trump's at 249 electoral votes, Joe Biden's at 243 electoral votes. Going through these three states here, I think first, we'll just do them all at once. Wisconsin is going to be a tilt margin to Joe Biden. Wisconsin is going to be a lean margin to Joe Biden. And Pennsylvania is going to be a lean margin to Joe Biden as well. Pennsylvania is a state. Joe Biden was nicknamed the third senator there. He lives very close there. He is well known there. He's up in the polls a lot there. Same thing with Michigan, he's up in the polls a lot there. It's a very traditionally blue state, along with Pennsylvania. I mean, these states didn't go red for a very long time, from 1988 to 2016. That's a very long time for not going red. Even with all the big victories that Republicans had, even with George Bush in 2004, they did not win these states. And so Donald Trump, to be able to win these states, he only won them by very small margins. And if he wants to keep a lot of those voters, he's going to have to change his ways in some ways, because he is more unpopular now in these states than he was a year ago, and he's down in the polls even more than he was in 2016. If something about that doesn't change, then he is going to lose these states. But I do think that these states are going to go blue. I think that Michigan's going to go blue by the largest margin, probably by around 3 percentage points. Pennsylvania by around 2 percentage points. Wisconsin by around 1 percentage points. It's not going to take much to flip these states. I mean, these three states were all less than 1 percentage point in 2016. Michigan by 0.2%, Pennsylvania by 0.7%, Wisconsin by 0.9%. And so it's not going to take much to flip these states, and I think that is what Joe Biden is going to do. I think he's going to flip these states, and he's going to get the presidency by a margin of 289 to 249. So yeah, that's my prediction for the month of May. My next official prediction will either be in June or when Joe Biden picks his vice presidential candidate. So yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Please like and subscribe as always. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, and I will see you guys later.